What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell. I'm coming to you guys live today from Delray Beach, Florida, Scott Woolley Studios. And this is a real treat for me. About 1 year ago today, I was in Las Vegas, Nevada. I just finished a deal with Brad Lee, and I was told I got to meet a guy, a very special guy named John Gafford. I said, who is he? He said, well, he's a big shot in real estate in Nevada. If you bought or sold a property, you built a home, if you built a community, you know the name John Gafford. I said, okay. I said, what's he like? He said, well, he's a big, tall, handsome guy. He's very affable. He's got a great way about him. You're going to dig him. He's your kind of people. And I want to say, when I did come to see the man, he was hospitable. It was, I believe it might have been the first podcast I ever did. It was with John Gafford. John, the man, I want to introduce. What's shaking, my brother?
Hey, buddy. How are you doing, Ross? Good to see you, man.
You know, if I was doing any better, they'd have to probably lock me up. I mean, life
Which they have before.
That's how good I was doing. Life was great. Life is great. I'm so incredibly grateful for what God has blessed me with, and in spite of the fact that I've seen a lot of hardship, pain, and suffering, that's life, bro. Everybody goes through their things. Everybody, I don't care who you are. If you haven't yet, guess what? It's coming. But I just feel so grateful and blessed. I'm building a media company called Raw Media. We're going into mental health and wellness through raw health and wellness, and I'm rolling up a group of influencers to give us real power through the Raw Media Group. It's something we'll chat about, but today it's all about John Gafford, the man, escaping the drift, the podcast, and escaping the drift. I understand you have a great book up and coming.
Yeah, November 11th. It's been a labor of love for about 4 years. We started this journey before there was, throw some ideas into ChatGPT and it spit out a book. So it was a little bit of a labor of love.
Wow.
It took several years to get done. And it was very important to me to have it come out through traditional channels, not do the first book just the Amazon way, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it just, for whatever reason, part of my path that I set for myself was this is going to be put out through the traditional publishing ranks. So when you deal with a traditional publisher, it takes a really long time to publish a book. If you didn't know that, I mean, like a really long time. So finally, after a very long siege, November 11th, we'll get to share this with the world, and we're very excited about it.
Wow. So, but it'll be listed everywhere, I'm guessing, right?
It'll be every bookstore you can walk into. It'll be there. It's distributed by Simon Schuster. So we're very excited there. Radius Books is the publisher, and yeah, anywhere books are sold, you can buy it. So we're excited.
I love it. And if you send me a copy, I'm going to read it and I'm going to promote it. And I want a signed copy. I'm very excited for you because if anybody's going to write a book, if somebody has anything to say, if I had to take advice from somebody, you're one of those men. You're literally one of those men that I take advice from. If you tell me how you feel about something, I'm all ears because you're the real deal, bro. You're the real deal.
Yeah.
I've been out to see you. I've seen your office, met some of your people, and spent time with you, bro. It's, there's a lot of pretenders in the world today.
Well, listen, man, I got to tell you, I don't take compliments like that lightly because when you put out as much content as now you are and I do, and you're talking just to the airwaves, you never really know quite who's listening or if you're having that impact. Obviously, the people that we work with every day, the people I coach, you know you're impacting them. But when you put all this stuff out, you kind of wonder if people are listening. And every now and again, more often than not, sometimes you'll get a message back from somebody about how something that they got from you really impacted their lives, or something that you said that really changed them or moved them in a positive direction. And I always seem to get those on those days where I'm like, man, I don't feel like making a post today. I don't feel like talking to the Instagram today. That's the day that I'll get that message in the DMs, and I'll be like, man, I got to do it again. Got to go again. Got to serve.
That's for all you people out there. Your comments are so important to us content creators. It's so important. I mean, I make content and I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm getting like 250 followers a day, all organic right now on Instagram, and it's so rewarding.
Mm.
And it just drives me to do more and to be better because, like you say, people in your close orbit, you know that you're affecting them. That's why they're in your orbit, right?
Sure.
And they're not enslaved. And there's a lot of places they can go. But when you're talking to the ether, so to speak, and all of
Hmm.
a sudden you're getting feedback that you're making a difference, it's a huge deal. Now, John, before we get into who you are today, I like to know who the heck you are, where you came from, what they're putting in that water, because you're a specimen, bro.
Yeah, so I actually grew up relatively close to your neck of the woods, a little different part of the world from you, but I grew up in a small town in North Florida, a
Wow.
place called Lake City, Florida. You've stopped there to buy gas, I'm sure, once or twice. I was the son of a Southern attorney, and my mom was an English teacher from Cleveland.
Wow.
So while half of my friends were saying, fixing to go somewhere and y'all want to do this with, heavy Southern accents, my mother luckily kind of kept me out of that for the most part. So yeah, I grew up there. Parents got divorced when I was a young kid, obviously, like so many other people did as well. Kind of learned my resilience at a young age by hustling mom and dad, I guess. It was one of those things where I learned pretty early that if I needed something, I could, go ask mom for it and then go ask dad for it and get the money and then get the money twice and then pocket it. So that was kind of my first hustle as a young
I
kid,
love it.
was figuring out that mom and dad didn't talk. Probably not the best thing to do, but yeah, that was the first hustle. Um, you know, had a lot of cool jobs in my early life. Was a partner at a bar when I was 20 years old at Florida State, where I wasn't old enough to drink, but I had the keys to a college bar and I'm ordering kegs, 50 at a time,
So you're a
which
Seminole.
was
You're a
I
Seminole.
am. Yes. For those of you listening to this that might be from a different part of the world than Florida, college football is religion where we're from. And yeah, it's not where you're from, it's who you're for. So, yes, I grew up. Everybody in my family went to Florida State, except for my
Wow.
mother, who went to the University of Florida.
Well,
So
I want you to know my daughter just graduated from University of Florida with Gators,
yes,
but my other
yes,
daughter graduated from Bama. So I got the Crimson Tide, I got the Gators,
you got them
and
all.
it's true. We are a college football family, even though now they're all out of college.
Yeah, my son who is graduating this year just did, the whirlwind tour. My wife got to go. I had to work, but my wife took him on the whirlwind tour of all these schools, and he wanted to see Florida State just because he wanted to
Of
see where we all
course.
were. And he fell in love with it. Of course, he loves Florida State. It's on his list. Probably, no offense to anybody who goes to Florida State or whatever else. That school's probably a little below him where he is
I get it.
academically. He's valedictorian of his class,
Wow.
4.97 GPA, 35 ACT. I mean, he's a stud. So we
Wow.
are applying to some pretty big schools for him, and we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, Florida State, still to this day, I wake up in the morning and one of the first things I do in my me time is I read Florida State football news, and I do it every
So
single day.
it's so
Every
good.
day. Every day.
UF, I wanted to say, is like they're calling it the Ivy League now in the South. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's one of the top public universities. It is, and my son did go through there and look at it. He did, and I give no opinion.
right.
And thank God he didn't like it because I just don't know if I could stomach writing
Gainesville.
those checks.
It's a crazy spot. It is, and that's really great. Congratulations. Now, let me ask you, how tall a guy are you?
Well, I'm shrinking now. So as you get older, you shrink a little
You
bit.
telling
My,
me?
yeah, especially when you're tall, you're discompressed a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm going now. I used to go, at one point I would go 6'5", but 6'4". I'm going to go 6'3" now is probably where I'm at right now.
When I walked
Hopefully
in
I'm done shrinking.
about a year ago, I walked into your studio, and you were sitting down behind the desk, and when you got up, I was like, whoa! It's like you kept going. I said, how tall is this guy? I mean, you're a big guy, and how old a guy are you today?
53 today. So that's how old I am.
You could be my nephew. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, though. You're in your prime right now. This is your prime. It's great. Your book's coming out. It's going to be amazing. So, you're in the state of Florida. Your parents are split up. You you owned a bar. You went to Florida State. I mean, are you athletic at all? I mean, being such a big guy, they must have pushed you into some kind of sports at one point, no?
I played golf a lot as a kid.
Wow.
But for me, growing up in that small town where, I didn't really fit in so much in high school there in that small town.
I so get it.
Going the traditional route of like baseball and football and all that stuff, I went the opposite way, which was like the BMX and the skateboarding route. And
I got it.
I'm the anti-teenager kid, you know what I mean? That was kind of the kid that I was. And then my mom actually moved to Tallahassee when I was 16, so I finished high school there. And that was like opening up a whole new world. But even then, I had a couple friends in high school in Tallahassee, but at that point I went right to hanging out with all the college kids, and pretty much.
I love. So now what happens? You get out of college.
So yeah, well, I didn't get a degree. I felt the institution had nothing further to offer me.
I get it. I hate to say it, but I get it. All I did was party in school.
Yeah.
I got nothing out of college except I met a lot of cool people.
Yeah, I majored in my fraternity. That's what I majored.
I get it 100%.
A master's degree in Sigma Alpha Epsilon.
I spent all this money to educate my kids. And my daughter's now going to law school. Hopefully she comes out, she's a top lawyer. But, all I did was literally get stoned and drink and learn the ways of women and all these different things.
Yeah. I got out and I started working I always worked in the restaurant business. It's what I started doing at like 16, 17. It's like my friends are in these dumb jobs. I'm like, dude, I'm busting tables, getting tipped out. And,
easy money.
That's how I got in hospitality, which is, that career is such a trap for people because you just start staying in a puddle and you get stuck. And, then I started working for different restaurant companies and I wound up working for Hooters of America, where I kind of worked my way up to multi-unit supervision, where I had multiple restaurants under me. And, it was fun, but I never made any real money. It was like, again, being in a fraternity back then. It was a pretty wild time to work at Hooters.
Well, Hooters was really a big name at one point. I mean,
Yeah, it was. And this was when, we were a pretty big company back then. And
they had an airplane, right?
Yeah. And then from there transitioned, some friends of mine opened a nightclub in Atlanta and they wanted me to come up and run operations for it. So I went up and ran operations for that club. That club wound up being where, if you remember Super Bowl 2000 in Atlanta, Ray Lewis got in a little bit of trouble, a little bit of a murder trial. That was my nightclub. So yeah, so we went from Esquire magazine calling us the #1 nightclub on the East Coast of Florida to the place where Ray Lewis kills people. And that place never recovered. And I bounced around to a couple more hospitality deals and it was just like this. This is kind of where I started realizing that I was in this drift mode, right? And what I mean when I talk about escaping the drift is so many people in this life unconsciously hand over the direction of their life to the will of others. And they don't even realize they're doing it.
Correct.
They just move through life. Because if you think about drifting, right? The reason I chose that word and I love that word is even though you're drifting, you're still moving, right? There's still movement there. You still feel some movement around you,
right?
But there's you're not chartering a course. You're just kind of you're heading in a direction that's predetermined by the gods, if you will. And when you're working in corporate restaurant America or whatever else, I got moved when I worked for Hooters. I moved every 3 months all over the country, which, as a young guy in his 20s, it was kind of a cool thing back then.
Pretty cool, yes.
But I had no control over that. I would get a phone call and they'd say, hey, your job tomorrow is in Oklahoma. Huh? Yeah, just get a U-Haul and go. And that was how it was. And that happened every 3 months. I knew when my last kind of restaurant deal that I had was falling apart because I had some weird stuff happen with some partners. I was like, man, I got to get out of this. And so a buddy of mine told me that you should always be in sales, right? And he, at the time, was a vice president at WorldCom, which you remember WorldCom went down for their giant implosion.
Very well.
So I said, hey, do me a favor, give me a job at WorldCom. And he said, I can't give you a job at WorldCom without some sales experience. And I said, okay. He goes, I give you two choices. I said, what's that? He goes, number one, you can go sell Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door, or you can go sell cars. Either way, you'll have a PhD in sales in 90 days. And I was like, bro, there's no way I'm going to sell Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door. He goes, go sell cars. And he was right. I went and sold cars in Atlanta at Tron-Collin Nissan, which was quite an ego step back because you go from running the hottest club on the East Coast of the United States to let me bring your Altima around and take you for a test drive, right? But
I get it.
Yeah, but it was quite the education that I got in sales, and that kind of got me to take control, because that's the first time I'd gone from somebody's paying me or I have a salary to eat what you kill.
Eat what you kill.
And that was the first time I kind of took control of where that was.
I love that. You know, it's I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking about my own story. You know, I'm very intentional in my life. It's just who I am. You know, I never really question it because that's how I am. But the truth is, you know, when you go to Wall Street, you learn that the rest of the world is basically has no plan. Now, some guys say, I want to be a doctor because their father was a doctor, their grandfather was a doctor. Some people, you know, they go to become lawyers because this one's a lawyer, that one's a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Well, dude, Ross, worse than that, people spend more time planning vacations than they do planning their lives.
It's correct. I get it 100%. It's sad.
Think about it. Yeah, you get to take a vacation, right? You got to book a flight. You got to know what time you got to get to the airport. You got to know what hotel you're staying in. You got to know the excursions you're taking. You got to know you're looking on Yelp for the best restaurants, but yet people just leave their lives completely to chance.
I have a cousin that does nothing in his life, but he plans his vacation very carefully.
Oh yeah. Intimately.
And he spends all his money on his vacation. And then he goes home to nothing and has nothing and doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, if he spent half as much effort on his own life, he wouldn't have to spend. He could live on vacation.
It's the craziest thing. That's what I say. I've had a bucket list life. Mm-hmm. You know, if I want to do something, whatever it is, I don't put it on a list. I go out, I make it, and I kill. I make money. I do deals, I make trades, whatever, and then I do what I want to do. I've been living that way my whole life. I have no regrets about it. You know, at that part of my life, I made some bad decisions at times, but I've had a bucket list life. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
prior to me taking control of my life, which is why I say the book also is kind of like a user's manual to that dipshit 27-year-old that was being moved around and, you know, getting in bad business deals because he didn't, you know, have any foresight. But now, you know, the life that I have now, we've been tomb raiding in Saqqara in Egypt.
Correct.
In February, we're flying from here to Cape Town and then taking a G5 to Antarctica for the longest day. It's like 24 hours. We're going to go to Antarctica for the day and like see penguins and ice climb. And yeah, dude, it's like, because now I can do all of that stuff. I couldn't do that when I was 27 because I wasn't financially stable enough to live that lifestyle.
Right. Now you have capital, which gives you freedom. Freedom to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. More importantly, I've built businesses that are self-sustaining.
Correct.
That I don't have to sit here and keep my finger on them. You know, a lot of people have businesses or they say that they own a business. And one of my mentors, Kent Clothier, said to me once, one of the smartest things I've ever heard, and I've taken this to heart a lot, which is this. If you can't leave your business for 6 months, don't call, don't come back. You can't leave for 6 months and come back and find it at least as good or if not better than you left it, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Interesting. I love that.
And so
that part is really brilliant.
And part of life by design that we've tried to do is find the smartest people we can and put them in position to run our companies and make decisions. So we don't have to be there. I don't have to be anywhere anymore. I get to choose my days. I get to choose where I want to be, who I spend time with. I don't have to be anywhere. And that to me, people talk about what is freedom? You know, what is freedom? And freedom is not having to be anywhere.
I love that. And I get it 100%. And, you know, for years I was a stockbroker, the same thing. I could go away, take off 10 days, three weeks, disappear for a month. It didn't matter. I had a real business. Now, so you're late 20s now. You're in Atlanta. You're running this club, Ray Lewis. kills a few
Yep, Ray
people.
Lewis did that.
I'm playing.
Yeah.
I'm playing. That was
And
so.
he got off. I don't know that he did it.
He did get off.
Somebody in his entourage did it. We'll leave it at that. Somebody
Right.
in his entourage did it.
Allegedly.
I did get to be on SportsCenter though. That was like for all the wrong reasons, right?
But you were also on The Apprentice later on in life, right?
Well, yeah, but at this point, I'm like, Dad, I'm going to be on SportsCenter for all the wrong reasons.
But that's so cool. That's so cool. How old were you in those days? 28? 29?
28 on the nose. Yeah. 28
okay. So still not into real estate yet. Not,
no.
So now what happens? You're in a late, now you're single in those days?
Yeah. So I'm single in those days. I mean, obviously girlfriends, whatever, but I've only been married once. The good news is
that's what I say.
The difference. Well, I've been married 4 times, but always to the same woman. I marry her again every 5 years, just as a check-in.
I love it.
Because if she actually married me again, then we're probably doing okay. I'm just hoping one of these times she doesn't say no, and then we'll have to have a different conversation. But no, back then, single and was living in Atlanta, and was doing this car deal. And my sister at the time, who was brilliant, she's probably, of the 3 of us, my 2 sisters and I, she's probably the smartest. And she was at the time the COO for 2 of the largest people in Amway, the MLM. Their territory was like all of Eastern Europe and in like England and like half the United States. It was massive business. And she was their COO. And she was like, hey, let's start a nutritional supplement business. And so I was like, all right, I'll come down. We'll partner with it. It's fine. And it's funny, Ross, I love when I walk in people's offices and they have like all these trophies and accolades and awards in their offices.
Yes.
I have a bunch of stuff, but it's all bad stuff. Like anytime I've ever had a massive screw up, I keep that in my office. And you probably didn't notice it, but there's a little, you probably just thought it was that day's actual supplements, but there's a little blue bottle of vitamins in my office. It says Azura Special Nutrition. That's my $100,000 bottle of vitamins. And I say that.
I get it.
Because we started this business and we spent $100,000 on nutritional supplements and put them in a warehouse before we ever asked anybody if they wanted to buy them. And that was a colossal screw up.
And this was the smartest sister.
This was the smarter one. Yeah, this was the smarter one.
So much for smarts, right?
We had some things go south. So the same guy that told me I should get into sales at the car deal, right? Mm-hmm. My buddy Rick played football at the University of Florida and was really good friends with like Emmitt Smith and some other folks that played ball there. And he was like, I can bring these guys to the table. Not a problem. We'll get them doing doors. So it'll be great. And then right as we were getting to launch Azura is when WorldCom imploded. And he was vice president. He lost everything. He had all of his whole stock portfolio was all WorldCom stock. I mean, everything was tied to that. He lost it. He got wiped out. So he went to a dark place and it was like, oh crap. So now we're trying to scramble and still make this happen. I don't know Emmitt Smith. And I'm just like, well, the only athlete at this point I know is Ray Lewis and he ain't calling me back. So that's not going to happen. So Azura was like tanking, right? It was doing miserably. And we were like, we're going to have to pick up some work. So we started to pick up consulting jobs here and there. My sister picks up this consulting gig for this insurance company in Texas. And she goes out there and she's there for 2 days. And she calls me and says, right now, stop what you're doing, get online and start getting an insurance license in Florida. We need it. And I'm like, wow. How quick do we need it? She goes, we need it like now. So I took I think it was like a 36-hour pre-licensing course. I did it in 1 day online. I started like at 9 in the morning and I worked all day till 1 o'clock in the morning, passed their online test or whatever it was. And then I went and took the state test 2 days later and then waited for my fingerprints to come back. So we were licensed to sell insurance inside of like a week. Wow. And listen to how smart this was. So this is what this company did. And this is, I talk about this also in the book about finding angles and finding ways to see things differently. And this was very much a way to see things differently and build incredible value for people. So what this company in Texas did was they specialized in Medicare supplements, which is like when you turn 65, you get Medicare Part A and Part B, and then you buy a supplemental plan that kind of wraps into it.
Correct.
And back in the day, all Medicare was Part A and Part B. There was no Part D, which is now the drug coverage part. That did not exist 20 years ago. So Medicare supplements were not super expensive. They ran about $120 to about, depending on how old you were, maybe $220 a month. And then as a broker, you got 20% of that. But here's the kick. Old people medicine is expensive. I mean, like really expensive if you don't have insurance. So what had happened at that time was the US government made a deal with all the drug companies. And they said, look, as long as you give your medicine away for free to seniors that hit certain income requirements, we won't screw with you about your drug prices. The drug companies are like, yeah, good deal, no problem. US government's like, good deal, no problem. And then the drug companies never told anybody about it. So this insurance company in Texas became experts in getting free medicine from all of the drug companies. So we became experts in getting free medicine. So we moved this concept to Florida, and I could walk into a senior citizen's house who was paying $120 a month for their Medicare supplement, but $700 a month for medicine. And I'd say, okay, cool, because you're older, your Medicare supplement's going to go up to $200 a month, but I'm going to get all your medicine for free. So that was a life-changing savings for these people. And we absolutely just smoked it. I mean, we were just, as fast as we could write stuff. We were crushing the insurance business as fast as we could do it, which was great. And I ended up moving because I moved back to Lake City, my hometown, to do this with her. And then I wound up moving to Tampa. And then from Tampa, a buddy of mine that I met had a really good tech play and wanted a COO. And I agreed to come on to that company as a COO.
As an operating guy. Interesting.
Yeah. I'm a good operator. I'm a great operator.
I believe you're probably great at everything.
We run all of our businesses now on the EOS system. So you have a visionary and an integrator.
Yep.
And I find myself very torn because now these days I'm always forced into the visionary role, which I do like because I like choosing direction. But I excel also in the integrator role. I love operations. I love making things run better. I love finding inefficiencies. I love looking for ways to impact the customer experience at all levels. I love
a great operator is so rare. Not an operator, a great operator. Because I built hundreds of companies and funded, I've taken over 100 companies public. So imagine all the ones that didn't go public. And, the CEO, the visionary is key. But after that is the COO. A CFO is a dime a dozen. But the COO, that's everything. That's why I went away, by the way. Because I had an idiot.
I totally agree.
As my COO who just went off the rails.
Did you? Nah, that's not good.
Yeah.
So, I took him up on that. The insurance company was still doing what it was doing. We were still, at this point it was running. We were doing fine. And that's kind of when it led to the opportunity. My sister wanted to go try out for The Apprentice, for season 3 of The Apprentice. And I begrudgingly, my sister, the same when I was in the insurance business.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Oh God, 2005.
Okay.
Any more, I'm going to, I loosely talk about this because now it's kind of like it's like Al Bundy talking about how many touchdowns he scored at Polk High. It's like 20 years ago.
Let me just explain. It's really interesting, I think, when I listen to an interview and some guy that's like spectacular, he's killing it, he's worth millions, he's got a hot wife, he's got a big company, looks great, sounds great. How the fuck, how did you get there? So you weren't, what's interesting is you weren't born into this, bro. You are a guy that's running a club in Atlanta right now saying, what the fuck am I doing? Can watch this or listen to this and say, you know what? If John did it, I could do it.
1,000%. And that's what my book is really about.
I love it.
That moment, that hinge point in my life, which became the Apprentice tryouts. I didn't want to go. I was like, I had no interest in being on reality television. I had zero interest in it. My sister dragged me. And then they just kind of kept calling and calling and calling. And, eventually it's like, well, you start taking it seriously. Well, we'll see if I get another call. Well, we'll see if I get another call. We'll see if this. And you start filling out all these applications and all this stuff until finally you get a call and they're like, we want you to come to LA for the finals. There's 50 finalists. We want you to come. So I'm like, okay, I'll come to LA. And that was a really weird week. Because you're there, but you can't talk to anybody. So they like lock you in your hotel room. And when you go to like eat, there's one person at every table in the restaurant because nobody can talk. Because in that 50 people is the cast and they want you to meet on TV. They don't want you to meet right here.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you're just like sequestered, but you're doing this. So anyway, it goes to the end, and through the week as we're there, I start to notice people are disappearing. Every time you go eat, there's less people there. I'm like, okay, this is less people. There's less people. They're sending people home, right?
Yep.
So it gets to like one of the last days, and we hadn't seen Mark Burnett. And this moment is probably one of the most pivotal moments of my life. So I go up, it's the day that we're going to meet with Burnett, and they're upstairs at the Embassy Suites in Santa Monica, and there's these two big double doors into like one of those conference room rooms. Get off the elevator, and I walk in, and I look at Burnett, and I go, he's there. There's like 18 NBC people behind him. And I walk up and I go, how you doing, Mr. Burnett? My name's John Gafford. Nice to meet you. And I put my hand out. And this limey prick is sitting there eating like a snack, right? And he looks at my hand and he drops one peanut M&M into my hand. And I was like, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, this can rattle me or I can, push forward. So I spend the next 10 minutes rattling off all my accolades. I'm probably embellishing a little bit about why I'm the perfect candidate to work for Donald Trump and why I'm qualified for this job and all this stuff and why I should do this. And the whole time, Ross, I'm talking, I can feel that I'm losing the room. I feel them drifting away. The eyes are glazing over.
I get
phones it. Phones are being picked up. Things are kind of, I'm losing the room.
It's not working.
Not working at all. Gets to the end of the interview and I'm thank you, whatever. And I leave and I go back to my room and I'm like, I start packing my shit because I'm like, I'm done. I know I'm done. So I'm packing it up. And there's a knock at the door and a PA comes in and goes, they want to see you again. And I said, okay, give me a minute. Because if I'm going back up there, I'm going back up there my way. I'm like, I got to hit the mini bar. So I'm going to hit the mini bar before I go up there. So I hit the mini bar. And I walk up there as I get off the elevator doors and the doors are there and I just kick them as hard as I could. Bam! Doors fly open, hit the wall. All of them jump. I walk in, I look at Burnett and I said, before you open your mouth and say one more word to me, let me tell you why you should put me on your little television show. Because when you invest in me, you get back 100 times your investment. And I pulled a bag of M&Ms that I'd taken out of the mini bar, threw them in his face, and I walked out. Door shut behind me. I heard him start laughing. The PA was like, that's awesome. And that's how I got on the show. That moment, it's funny. I talk a lot.
I love
talks that I give. I give a talk where I talk about in that moment, there's three things, right? Number one, and these are the three things that I think most people don't have, is number one, I didn't understand value. I didn't understand what they were looking for. Like the first time I was in there, I was interviewing for a job. They're not hiring.
No.
They're casting.
Correct.
So I made a decision. The second part is to have a plan. So I was like, okay, once I understood the value that they were looking for, I created a plan in my head. I knew the second he said, come back, what I was going to do. When I went in that, as soon as I saw I was hoping the mini bar had M&Ms. It did. I'm like, these are going right in his grill.
Great move.
I knew that. And then three, which is evaluate risk, which is really be able to evaluate that. So I'm looking at this. What's the worst that can happen? I'm
Nothing.
dead right now.
You thought you were dead, right?
I got nowhere to go but up from right now. So this either works or I'm exactly where I am right now. And those three things, being able to understand value of what people really want, having a great plan, and understanding how to evaluate risk are really the three things that have propelled me from that moment to where I am right now.
I love that. I'm going to share this with you very quickly. So the first time I'm on national television was in the UK after I went public. I took myself public there. I was the first deal after 9/11 between America and the UK. The markets were like closed. And my stock's up 40% the first day. And the exchange made me go on national television called CEO on the Hot Seat. They were basically trying to use me and my success to reopen the markets in the United Kingdom, in London. And right before I go on, they hired a PR guy for me. He grabs me. He says, do you want to be remembered? I said, excuse me? He goes, do you want to be remembered? Or do you want everybody to just forget who you are? Mm-hmm. It's like a trick question, right? I said, of course I want to be remembered. He goes, good. Then you have to do something memorable. Don't forget it. And you know what? This just struck me.
So what'd you do?
I'm Ross Mandell. I'm a little wild. I was memorable. You know, I speak in a certain way, but then at some point I elevate myself and I make sure that no one's going to forget. And throwing those M&Ms after what he did to you that was worth millions. That one moment it was because he gave you that opening, right? He dissed you with that one
did.
peanut.
He did.
And you said, you know what? Go fuck yourself. And he laughed because that's a TV moment, bro.
Well, that's value. He wants to put that on.
That's
television.
real value.
Now. He's like, I can make money with this guy now.
Oh my God!
I'll tell you, you want to be memorable. I'll tell you
that makes you memorable.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something else that, and some people might hear this and think it's sour grapes, but it's really not. I really had this plan, which was if I somehow, by some miracle, won season 3 of The Apprentice. Here was my plan. I'll tell you why. First off, I'm going to ask you. Did you watch the show back in the day?
I watched the whole show. Every season I watched.
Right, okay. Who won the first season of The Apprentice? Who's the first guy?
Right now, I can't tell you.
Anyway, all right. Well, Bill Rancic.
I forgot all that, but I watched every one.
Hang on. Bill Rancic is the guy's name.
Correct. Bill Rancic. Exactly.
Other than my season, because I was there, I could not tell you who won any of those shows. Because who won, look at Survivor. What are they, like 50 now or some nonsense? Right. Who won the first Survivor? That naked dude, Richard Hatch. Right. Everybody remembers. He's the first guy. Nobody's going to remember the third guy, right? Ever. So my plan was, if by some miracle I was able to win that show, when he was offering this job or that job, I was going to say, you know, Mr. Trump, I'm going to pass. I was going to turn the job down because it's live television. There's nothing.
Then you remembered, right? Then you remembered. I get
it. Now you're a legend, right? Now you're a legend.
Now you're a legend. I get it.
But unfortunately, it never got to that point. So,
and as you're telling this story, which I'd never heard, they look at you and you're TV worthy. You're like 6'5",
maybe
like 230
well,
pounds.
Hang on, maybe 2, because I'll tell you this too.
Too much, maybe. Yes.
No. So people ask me why I got fired on The Apprentice, because if they've never seen it, why did Trump fire you? And the answer is very simple, and I have it framed in my office, which is this. The first day before we're actually shooting the show, we shot all the production for like TV Guide and like People Magazine, and whatever else back there, all of that stuff. And so the very first time we saw Donald Trump was we were in the suite and they staged us all up for a photograph, and there's a big X on the floor next to me. And I already know who that is because I'm, like you said, I'm a tall dude, so they put me in the back.
Right.
In walks Trump. How you doing, everybody? How you doing, everybody? Mr. Trump, here's your spot. They stand him right next to me. The photographer, Kevin, goes up a ladder and takes 2 photographs. Click, click. Trump walks out of the photograph, says to Kevin, got to move, this guy's taller than me. Like we're not even standing there. I'm like, oh, shit. So literally they moved me around front and proceed to take, Ross, no kidding, 1,000 photographs. Click, 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 for like 10 minutes. And the one that they used for everything was one of the first 2. So I've got a picture of me in my office.
So funny.
Distinctly taller than our 47th and 45th president.
Yes.
I figured, yeah, there you go. So I figured if he wouldn't take a picture of me right then, he's not going to take any more photos with me.
But the funny thing is, Trump was cognizant of that detail. You know, he's aware of that. You know what I mean? He had to be the big man in that room, and all of a sudden you're towering over him.
Well, it's not hard when we went places with him. It was like, especially at that time, it was like going places with Elvis at that point. I mean, it wasn't like now where he was doing anything that polarized people. You know, that where you're on this side or that side. Everybody was a fan back then. I mean,
so just so you know, I was living in Trump Tower. I was living in Trump Tower.
How were you?
6 years, yeah. And, he was a rock star. But, I'm a tenant in his building. I bought an apartment there for $2 million cash. And, he would come over for like the Christmas parties and everything, and with all his crew, and he'd stashed a couple of girlfriends there. Those were the Marlon Maples days.
Yeah.
And he was playing and all that kind of thing. I don't want to get into too much because I love Trump. And,
look, like he's been the gift that keeps on giving for me. I mean, obviously, just when this stuff kind of goes away, and then it's like, maybe I'll run for president. And that was cool the first time. Oh my
God, he's a beast.
We went to, and we did some stuff to help the campaign in 2016. And then we went to the inauguration, which was awesome. And it was funny because there was 3 of us standing there at like a receiving line that had been on the show together. And he was going down the line doing his thing. And like, he got to the first guy that was on the show and how you doing, blah, blah, because he's just coming down 100 people, you know, he's not paying attention. And then the second guy, he's like, and then he got to me. And then when he got to me, he was like, wait a second. And he like, if it would just been one of us, he wouldn't probably have recognized it. But the fact that all three of us were there together and like tricked his mind, he was like, what are you guys doing here? Like, hey,
he's no dummy. Moment. He's no dummy.
It was a cool moment. Yeah, but that's a lot of fun. I'm not saying that. It was just a lot of people to have to shake their hands.
No, I understand, but it's funny in my life, once in a while when I'm out in the world doing business today, and a guy will look at me and say, well, you're a convicted felon. I said, I was convicted of 4 felonies, but our president, Trump, sitting in the White House right now, he's been convicted of 32 felonies. And he has another 60 felonies waiting for him when he gets out of office. So I'm not sure that matters so much anymore, does it? And they look at me like, you're right. And because people like to use anything they can as leverage, as you know, it's nothing wrong about it. I don't take it personally. Business is just business, and I get it. I would have said the same kind of thing probably if I was in their shoes. But these are great stories, man. These are really, really great stories. So let's go back now. You're selling insurance with the sister. You said you moved to Tampa, and then keep going.
Well, so yeah, did the COO thing, got on the Apprentice.
Right.
We actually
that had to be life changing. That had to be life changing.
Yeah,
it was a hot show. It was like the hottest show in the country at that time. Sunday night.
We had more view. We were getting like 8 million viewers or something. It was like Super Bowl worthy.
It was like Super Bowl.
And then, we were up for an Emmy and all that stuff. It was. I mean, I was known places. It was weird. I was known, and as quickly. But it's funny with reality TV. As quickly as you're known, that's how quickly you're unknown.
I get it.
Quickly it goes. But we, I had left the tech firm in the middle of The Apprentice. That was a weird time for me because, like now. You think with social media and everybody's got an opinion on everything. And I think we've got our skin has gotten a little thicker. Correct. But imagine being like first through the gate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was this website called Television Without Pity, which was like a blog site. And The Apprentice was such a hot show. And there were like tens of thousands of people talking about me.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
It's unbelievable. People are like, get a life.
Dude. But it was like, this is before social media. So it was like I had never experienced anything like that. And, when you're doing well on the show, everybody's saying you're amazing and how great you are, blah, blah. Right. And then when you take the nosedive, inevitably when you get fired, they turn hard on you. And it was hard to see thousands and thousands and thousands of people like say really bad shit about you.
Welcome to my world. I was indicted on national television.
Yeah, that's probably true. My problem.
But I understand and the world is very fickle. Everybody's my fan. And next thing you know, they want to kill me. Yeah. They want to bury me. I'm like Hitler. I'm evil.
So unfortunately, I probably didn't, when that started, I probably didn't give my partners the best version of me at the tech firm. So I wound up taking a buyout there. And I was kind of just hanging out in Tampa.
Right.
And my friend Kendra Todd, that won my season of The Apprentice, said, why don't you get a real estate license and come sell real estate with me? And that's what we did. And this was right when the boom was still going in 2006. Came out to Vegas with some friends, met a girl. One of our projects was in Vegas and, been married to her for 19 years and moved out here. And just, it was funny. I didn't start in real estate the way most people do. When I was working with Kendra, we would do these real estate shows during the boom where we would walk up and pitch like condo conversion projects all over the country as investments. And then 300 people would stand up and walk to the back and buy condos and just slinging them as fast as we could. And then when I got to Vegas, obviously the market, this was ground zero no, this was ground zero for the crash.
Yes. The boom, the crash and the boom, both.
Yeah. So, it was very much, I learned very quickly during that time. It's like surfing, right? Like you can't just ride the wave you're on. You've got to keep your eyes out to the horizon for the next set.
But you learn. You learn. You don't know that when you first start, right? You learn to keep your eyes open. I get it.
So that's a big part of what I teach is what works today in business may not be what works tomorrow. So there's always, a three-pronged approach to achieving your goals, which is chasing two things that are tried and true. And then you have the one that's a flyer, because sometimes the flyer ends up becoming one of the main things. And sometimes one of the tried and trues falls off because just the markets change or something happens that doesn't work anymore. So you've always got to kind of be experimenting while you're still keeping the wheels moving with what happens.
Just like the stock market.
Yeah. And when I got here, I learned short sales very quickly, learned how to help people through short sales. And then that branched off to me then becoming, and when the foreclosure crisis happened, I was one of the number one foreclosure real estate agents in the country. If you got foreclosed on, sorry about that. I was just doing my job.
Right.
But I was one of the number one agents in the country for that. And then that progressed in 12, 13 into working with the hedge funds. And I bought a tremendous amount of the portfolios for Blackstone, Goldman Sachs here in Las Vegas. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of houses we bought for them. And, we've just always been able to pivot to kind of what's next. We started this company 14 years ago. We very quickly, within a couple of years, were number 3 in the market. We were number 1 in the market for the first quarter of this year, which we've never had that where we were number 1, and we never should be number 1. We should never be number 1 just because our business model, and I'll explain that in a second, but we were number 1 at the end of the first quarter. And now we're back to number 2, which is where we like to live.
What's the name of the company now?
Simply Vegas is the name of our real estate company in Vegas. And we are a luxury real estate brokerage. We focus on luxury. And we're very particular about who works here. We've got 535 agents that work for us. I know that sounds like a lot, but we're very finicky about who we hire. We don't hire new agents. It's not something, we don't have a new agent training program. 90% of real estate agents fail. So go get an education somewhere else. If you make the 10%, then you come play for the Yankees. That's how it works. But we have the highest average sales price of any of the big companies because we lean into luxury the way that we do. But like the number 1 company in Vegas has 1,800 real estate agents.
Right.
Like I should never beat them ever. Never. And we're not that far behind them on the board.
That's like Walmart. That's like Walmart, and you're more like a luxury brand.
Yeah, and the number 3 company has double the agents we have.
I'm not surprised.
We're able to beat them. So yeah, we focused on high quality, but everything here is about luxury. Everything is about, I mean, you were in the offices, you saw it.
Magnificent.
Everything here is about the customer experience. It's about taking it to that next level at everything that we do. So that's why we've been successful here.
A magnificent operation, magnificent office. He's a first class, top tier guy. From the moment I met, I'm telling the truth. I met you a year ago. Walked in, I was like, whoa. Now Stevie and I we met on Wall Street in 1983. And we've been around the wealthiest people on earth for 40 years. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. We handle money for the wealthiest people in the world. And at some point, we became some of the wealthiest people. And so I understand quality. I understand the highest of high levels. I'm not impressed by anything really material. But I am impressed by certain people that travel in that world. And you're one of those guys, bro. You're a down-to-earth kid. You're just a regular guy in a very a high life, meaning you've done a lot of. I'm so happy we're doing this podcast today. I'm getting to I got to know you because I met you and I spent time with you and
but we're talking about you on my podcast.
Mostly talking about me, and I don't really learn much. Sometimes the things that come out of my mouth shock me, but it's my story, and my story is a little crazy and wild and all over the place. But your story is really a fantastic journey that shows a young, wicked kid, always a little different, right? You were like, you weren't, like you said, when it came to baseball, football, basketball, that was not your thing. You were skateboarding, you were a little different. You didn't fit in. Your dad was an attorney. You come from good stock. Your mother was an English teacher. You're intelligent, learned and educated. And you wanted more for life. And it seems like you're constantly striving for a little more. Some people stayed in Hooters probably 25 years.
No. See, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit because not always, right? Because up until, like I said, I was like 27, 28 years old. I was, that life you talked about, like my father being an attorney, this and that. I'm going to venture to say that, sometimes people say, oh, they were fine. They were this, they were that. But I think when you have, sometimes you come from a family, and we were by no means rich, right? My
Right.
dad, this is a small town attorney. My dad got paid in chicken sometimes, but we were fine, right? We
Right.
were going to be fine. But I think you always are waiting for somebody to come save you. And a lot of my life, even though I was building a strong and high level of resilience, it was always about who's going to save me. Like I always had this fantasy that somehow my dad was always going to show up, or when my father was going to hand me some giant inheritance at some point. Like I had this thing, and it was just always just waiting for something, waiting for somebody to show up, and waiting for an opportunity, and waiting for this.
I get it.
And I spent so much of my life waiting. That's what started. That's the drift, man. If you're listening to this and you're waiting for your boss to walk in and hand you a raise, you're waiting for the right person to walk around the corner that you can marry. If you're waiting for anything instead of actively making it happen, dude, you're stuck in the drift. You know, one of my favorite analogies is this. Do you watch Naked and Afraid? Do you watch that show?
No, I haven't seen that. Oh, I'm sorry. I've seen some of it. I have seen some.
All right. So Naked and Afraid, they dropped like two people off in the jungle naked.
Completely naked, for real. I seen that.
And it's always like, Bob is a Navy SEAL that served 4 tours in Iraq or whatever else. And here's Kim, who sells hemp bracelets outside of Grateful Dead shows.
Right.
And like, after like 5 days, the Navy SEAL dude's like, I want to go home. And Kim's like, I could live out here forever, as she's eating leaves. But the thing that always happens on that show, and it's so, if you watch that show, then you'll know that I'm saying that something is true. They make this thing called the fish trap. It looks like the Thanksgiving horn of plenty. You know, they weave it out of twigs, and then they put it in the water, and then they hope a fish is going to swim in there,
and they can catch it.
And they're going to catch a fish. They never catch anything in the fish trap, but they always make it every episode. The people that do well in that show are the people that sharpen a stick and go looking for something to stab.
I get it.
And that is a metaphor for life. If you're fishing and you're sitting there waiting for something to happen,
I love it.
You got a much better chance to sharpen a stick and go and stab something.
You know, I never heard anything like what you just told, this story you just told. And, but that's a story of my life. Like my father dropped dead when I was 16. I went out spearfishing. After that minute, I said, that's it. There's no God. No one's going to help me. This is a bullshit world. You got to go out and make shit happen. Literally, that's not quite like that, but that's the message my brain gave me, that there is no hope. You got to go out and make shit happen every day. And I still live like that. I'm still waiting, John.
Yeah.
I'm 68 and I'm still waiting for someone to come save me. It's really something. That was a great narrative. Great.
Well, it's like the movie Die Hard, right? One of my favorite lines from that movie. He's like, the henchman's trying to get him to come out. And he's like, nobody's coming to save you. It's like, really dude, nobody's coming to help you. Nobody's coming.
Nobody's coming, and then when you get people in your life, when God does bless you and you get people in your life that show up that real value, or they really love, like the woman you married. I mean, it's, you look at the world and you're like relieved. Well, maybe there is some order in this world for me. But it's all about you with that spear fishing. I get that is such a great. I have a quick question because I've watched that show a few times. You think that's really what happens? Do they really drop people completely naked and leave them there?
Dude, I totally do. I know that's what happens.
I mean, who wants to do that? Why would someone want to do that? I just can't get it.
I mean, why do people want to do anything?
You got to be a lunatic.
Yeah, I got a guy that works for me that's kind of a lunatic, and he's English. And he said, if I ever went on that show, because you get to take one thing, and it's like, I brought fishing wire, I bought a net, I brought a knife, I brought a hatchet. He's like, I just want to go on the show just to see the other person's face. When they say, what'd you bring? I'm like, I brought condoms. Because they're naked. I'm like, the woman would kill you if you said that.
That's crazy. They sell these things on TikTok now, these like hiking sticks that turn into like spears and turn into like compasses and turn into fire starters. That's what I would bring. One of those TikTok things.
Well, hang on a second, because that's okay. You want to talk about what my book is?
Yes.
That's what my book is, because you want to know what the aha moment for people is when they let go, not only let go of somebody's coming to save me, but when they truly believe that the tools they need to succeed, they already possess within themselves. Because I didn't get Like my grit didn't change at 28. Who I was didn't change. My
Correct.
thought didn't change. I just got some better information. I just got a better circle.
Correct.
I got some better ideas. I got some better focus. That's what happened. So, I talk about my book being that user's manual to my 27-year-old drifting self. That's what it is. It's tools to help people really take control of the direction of their life.
That's really amazing because I didn't understand escaping the drift when I first went. And I turned to my friend Stevie, who's a pretty smart guy. And I said, what does that mean? And he looks at me and he looks at you. You had a sign. At that time, that was the name of your podcast.
It's still, yeah, we're zoomed in. It's still up there.
Okay. And he's looking, right? Like he's processing. And he looks at me and goes, I have no idea. You better ask him. And it's because it's an unusual phrase. I'm a word guy. I'm a wordsmith. I'm a sales guy. I recognized early on in my life that you have to go out and make things happen. I never had a job in my life. My first salary was $2.5 million a year. I owned 2 companies that each paid me $1,250,000. But they were my companies. I founded them. I funded them. I floated them. 4,100 employees. And I put myself on the payroll at some point because I didn't have time to really produce anymore.
Well, you have to.
Right. And
the IRS wants you to do that at some point.
Yeah. I'll never forget the board meetings we had. Like, how much should I take? Well, what do you need? I don't know. What do I need? I have everything I need. Well, it was like all funny. It was almost a comedy show. They should have had a camera there.
Yeah.
But I've never had a salary otherwise because I believe every day I should go out and earn it. I'm still that way, and it's a crazy thing. And escaping the drift, I realized in reading my notes and preparing for this podcast, and I'm really personally excited for your book and for the book tour because I think you're a stud, and I think it's going to be a huge success. And any way I can be of service, I can help. I'm going to do that because when I thought about that phraseology, it's something I would never talk about. I didn't even understand it. And I asked my friend.
I'll tell you where it came from. You want to know where it came from?
We're New York guys that sell for a living, and I do want to hear.
I'll tell you where it came from. So it's from The Apprentice. From a day there, we're standing in front of Trump International, waiting to get a task. And it was big production day, booms, all kinds of stuff to get this shot of Trump doing whatever he was doing. And everything was going wrong, right? I could tell the boom wasn't working. Production was freaking out. And Burnett was just storming around. He was storming around production. He was not happy. And one of the other contestants on the show, Kristen Kirchner, she goes, hey, treading water today, aren't you, Mark? Trying to needle him, right?
I get it.
And he turns around and he looks at her and he shoots with this look and he goes, I never tread water. I swim. You drift with the current. I was like, oh my God. Like, ooh, let me write that one down. That was strong as death. And I never forgot that. That here's a guy that literally is at that time the most powerful man in television. And he self-identifies as somebody who's, I don't tread water. I don't drift. I swim. I choose a direction and I go.
I'm going to tell you a story. So I went out to do a reality show about my arrest and the journey I was taking all the way through trial. And I had to sit down with Mark Burnett. And every single guy wanted that show, every single network. And the government killed it. I had like 30 deals ongoing, 15 deals ongoing.
Did he put a peanut and M&M in your ham? Did he do that?
No, he was very respectful to me. He held me in very high regard because I was probably richer than him at the time. And we had a really, really great meeting. He said he had a show idea for me, a great show, but that's another story. And, the government killed everything. They were very, very involved in my case and it was like, I was a victim of lawfare long before Trump. So, So people didn't understand how they weaponized the Department of Justice until now. And over the next year, you're going to see a number of things coming out regarding Hillary Clinton and Obama and Clapper and Brennan, all these people in government that weaponized the government against a citizen of the United States, Donald Trump, and his team. What they did illegally, wrongfully, unconstitutionally, every which way was outright criminal. Treason, high treason. It's in the Constitution. Death, high treason. And that's why they went after Trump so hard. They tried to kill him even. They actually tried to kill him, okay? And that was organized. And they tried to put him out of his company. Still owns $495 billion. He has a $175 million bond right now, and he's still not allowed to do business in New York. These crooks, these criminals. Well, this same group put a hit on me and came at me. And, at the time, everybody's like, Ross, I know, we know you're a great guy, this and that. But then behind my back, everybody said you must have done something wrong with the smoke. There's fire, sour grapes, all these things, right? But the truth is, what happened to me was political, just like what they did to Trump. The problem is, what they did to Trump was in front of the whole country, the whole world. It was so blatant. They didn't try to hide it. They tried to kill him on national television. I mean, that Butler, Pennsylvania, the shot where hit his ear and all that kind of stuff. That was the only single one of his rallies that CNN and MSNBC was covering in a year when he did 94 rallies. That was the only one that was on national television. Just like John F. Kennedy, just so you know, right out of that same playbook. But forgetting all that,
I was going to say,
the drift.
I have a feeling in about 20 years, New York is going to beg Donald Trump to come back in after what's going to happen.
I think in the next 2 years, there's going to be big problems. He weaponized the Metropolitan Police Force in D.C.
Oh, no. I'm talking about
the destruction of New York right now.
If
Mamdani,
if Zoham wins his election. Yeah, but my favorite thing I saw somebody say about that the other day, which was, I want him to win, is what somebody said, because we need in this country a compartmentalized experiment with socialism about every 20 years, just to remind people what a catastrophe.
Can you imagine a government-run grocery stores. Imagine the motor vehicles. I need a potato. All right, give us a minute. Come back in 2 days. We'll get you a potato.
Yeah.
Good luck.
No, thanks.
Good luck.
No, thanks. No, thanks.
But tell us more about escaping the drip, because let me say like this. So that stuck with you when Mark Burnett made that comment, right? And I get it. And but you seem like you're a very intentional guy, and your story seems very intentional.
Now.
Well, no, because you moved, even though you didn't really drift, in my opinion. I felt like you were seizing the opportunities that were present to you. So like someone said to me, how'd you go to Wall Street? I said, you know what? Because it was 45 minutes away from where I grew up. If I was living in another state.
I'm going to tell you the difference. I look back at, let's take Hooters, for example, right?
Right.
So when I was there, I got moved around, like I said, every 3 months. And this was over 5 years.
But that's cool when you're young and Hooters, naked, hot girls.
Yeah, but not always. Not always. I mean,
there was no money in it, but it was cool.
Oklahoma City, St. Louis. I mean, we weren't always moving. Detroit.
25 years ago, right? I get it.
Detroit, not always moving to the best places, right? And I'll never forget, there was a guy that was on the same level as me. His name was Todd, and he was on the same level as me in management. And we were having a pretty high-level management meeting. And I had one of my guys that had gone to Detroit, or Grand Rapids, Michigan anyway, that was from Atlanta, but he was having some marital problems because of that move. And I said, I got to get my guy back to Atlanta. I said, this guy is done. He's done for the company. He's moved around for you guys. You guys got to do for him and move him back. And this guy who had the same job as me, who never worked anywhere except for Atlanta, because he just told him, no, I won't move.
Right.
Said, moving's got nothing to do with anything. And in that moment, I realized, holy shit, it really doesn't. I just have allowed these people to blow me across the board any way they want without taking any control of my own life, without even taking control of my life. And here's this guy, which God bless him, I wanted to murder him in that moment because I'm also moved all over the country. I understand that. Yeah. But wasn't taking control of your country. And here's the thing. If that company really valued what I was able to do, then I should have been calling my own shots instead of them calling me, telling me where I was going.
Well, you probably had more power than you knew at the time. You probably could have gotten a lot of different things from them. But you just don't know.
But I had surrendered the direction of my life to the will of others. That's what I had done.
And you
time
coach
and time again.
You have like a coaching program, right? You coach young men and women.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Not just in real estate, I mean, in life.
No, in life. Yeah, in life.
Right.
I do consulting for a lot of businesses. We do some consulting for equity stuff, which is great. I nothing better in my life than consulting for equity. I love helping businesses.
Say that one more time.
Consulting for equity is one of my favorite business models. I love it.
Explain that to the audience if they don't know.
So consulting for equity is when you have somebody that has a startup or has a product that you believe is good, but they don't necessarily have the direction. Like these are the guys that call and say, hey, can I just get 15 minutes? Can I take you to lunch and bend your ear? Can I do that? You know, can I get some advice about this? And I love business. I love all kinds of business. So I'm always kind of down to have those meetings. But as soon as this doesn't always happen, right? I'm not always looking for a way that I can do this.
But I just want to explain.
There's certain times when I know I can bring an incredible amount of value to wherever that company is at that stage. At which point I say, okay, let's do a deal where we consult for equity, which is 25 bips up to like 2 basis points, whatever it might, up to 2 points, whatever it might be.
You get some stock in the company. That's ownership in the company.
I get a piece of the company that's vested over a certain amount of
Correct.
years with a ledge. There's a ledge that
Right.
if we don't perform to what I think our input will get the company to that point, then it falls off.
Right.
So we have to perform as well. It's not like somebody gifts it to you. We've got to perform in the direction of what
100%.
we help them with gets there. But I love those deals. I think they're great. It allows me to be really creative in sometimes spaces where I'm not, which I like. And it allows me to continue to kind of grow my portfolio of what we do without necessarily having to take on the day-to-day operation of their business.
It allows you to create wealth for yourself potentially.
Yeah.
And your work product that you're contributing also contributes to the success of this company.
Yes.
So not only are you getting some ownership in the company, you're getting a chance to say, hey, if you listen to this, I'll show you how to make that equity you give me worth more money.
Yep, exactly.
So that's where I've made the bulk of my money doing that in my life, getting stock, getting founding stock, getting warrants, getting options in companies that are starting. And, most of them, go tits up. Most of them don't end up enriching me and the other shareholders. But every once in a while, they always say in my business, you bet on the jockey, never the horse.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, the best jockeys are going to be on the best horses, and you're going to win more races. And so I love that you just said that, because you're in a position in your life. You're a young man, 53. You still look great. I mean, you sound great. You're on top of your game. Your company's booming. I mean, I have some questions about Nevada real estate in a minute, but I just want to say that, any company that has a chance to get you involved, I don't care what business they're in.
Yeah.
You add value. Real value.
You can always find me. You can go to my website, www.thejohngafford.com.
Hold on. One more time.
www.thejohngafford.com. And I'm the John Gafford everywhere. It's like Instagram, the John Gafford.
Perfect.
Everywhere.
Are you saying B or the?
No, the THE.
I got it. Okay.
The John Gafford.
We had a little moment of, we got a little blurry for a second. I love it. thejohngafford.com. So that's where people can find you.
Yeah. And that's where they can order the book there. They can
Escaping the Drift, how to make the world happen for you, not to you.
That's right.
Intentionality, right?
Yeah,
intentionality. You're in control of your life, and you have all the tools you need. You just don't know it.
And my goal with the book and what we do is it's not a theory book. It's very practical. There's practical information.
I love it.
That will get you from where you are to where you want to be. I just, when we did this, I said, look, I want to tell stories that reinforce the points that I'm trying to make, but I also want the points that I'm making to be tactical. So in the back of it, there's an appendix. There's a accompanying workbook that goes with this thing. It's like 148 pages that you can get for free when you buy the book.
How long is the book, John?
I think it's 240 pages, I think is what it is.
All soft cover, or is it going to come out in hardcover too?
No, it's hardcover. Yeah.
Wow.
This is real publisher, real book.
I'm expecting a copy.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love so much about the book and I'm so grateful for is one of my dearest friends wrote the foreword for the book, Steve Sims, and he just passed away.
Oh God,
about 4 weeks ago. So he actually, if you're listening to this, buy his books too, man. Blue Fishing, Go for Stupid, amazing books. Steve is an amazing guy.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful that I got him to write the forward before he passed.
So amazing. I mean, wow, that's a moment. I just had a moment. Thank you for sharing that. Nevada, I have some friends in Nevada, and they said Vegas is really going through a big hurt right now. Is that, you see that in the market?
No, God, Jesus. Okay, all right. This is why you don't get your news from TikTok.
Exactly I have friends that live there that say.
Well, here's the point. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Here's the clickbait that people see. There's 90% more listings in the market than there was a year ago. That's the one that everybody's been circulating on social media. 90% more listings. Okay. A healthy real estate market has 6 months of inventory, which means it would take 6 months if there were no more houses went on the market today. Based on how many are getting sold every month, it would take 6 months for those houses to all get bought. That's a healthy market, meaning buyers, sellers, even footing.
Right.
With our 90% increase in listings, 90% increase in listings year over year. Do you know how many months of inventory we have right now?
No idea.
About 3.5.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
3.5.
Well, Nevada's a hot state. Nevada to live. I mean, it's beautiful.
Well, you look at what's happened to Las Vegas in the last 10 years is unprecedented from any other city in the country. In the last
world,
10 years,
really.
We've gotten every single major sport is now in Vegas or committed to coming to Vegas.
I know, it's unbelievable.
All of them.
It's about time, by the way. It's about time.
Yeah.
It shocked me that all these years it didn't have all these things. It's crazy.
Yeah. You look what Mark Wahlberg is doing with the studios. Hollywood is dead in 10 years. All of those studios are moving here to digital production.
And Florida.
They're already in the works of being built.
And Florida. They're building like crazy here.
Already getting built.
Yeah, look at Tom Brady. No dummy.
Yeah, I think anytime
he put all his money into the football team, all his money.
People love to say that Las Vegas is gonna flop like it did in 06 and 07, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the sexy, cool thing to say for some reason. But if you look at the differences in what happened, number one, this is coming from a guy that was one of the number one foreclosure real estate agents in the country. Nobody wishes it would flop more than me. No offense, sorry everybody, but if it flopped again like that, I would get rich. So keep in mind,
wealthy.
I'm saying I
understand
in a different way. It can't happen. You look at how you know what doesn't go to foreclosure, Ross? Equity. Equity doesn't go to foreclosure. Most of these houses are sitting on 40, 50% equity. It's crazy how much equity they have in the houses. So even with the slowdown, even if prices recede a little bit, we're never going to have what happened before because the market in 06, 07 here was super speculative. There was no cash in any of those houses. Everybody was 100% financed. Correct. Strippers owned 5 houses.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, but it was a shooting gallery.
I get it 100%. And now, you know what? Rates are about to come down big, just so you know.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Thank God.
They're coming down big.
Thank God Trump fired that guy with the job reports. That was way overdue.
Well, they did. Everything about the Biden administration was a scam. Everything. It's all going to come out.
The jobs report thing actually started when Obama was president.
He was a bigger scammer than Biden. He was running who do you think was running the White House?
Yeah,
Obama.
Well, coming out of that recession that he got from George Bush, they were doing anything to try to fix that, and allowing those job reports to be manipulated,
just lying
on a trailing 90-day report,
right? And
then after 90 days, but after 90 days, the market's already reacted to it. So it's like terrible. That trailing data doesn't work, and now you're going to start seeing real data, and the market's reacting to it.
You got America's the biggest business in the history of the world. There's no comparison to anything except for maybe Rome, and nobody could measure that kind of thing. And we finally have a real business guy now. We have a real business guy that's going to bring back American greatness. Anybody against America being great shouldn't be in America, in my opinion. It's my opinion. And Nevada to me is one of 3 states that I could live in: Florida, Nevada, Texas. Those 3. I might end up buying something in Nevada, just so you know. Yeah. And if I do, I'm coming to my boy John Gafford. And it's just like if you want a quality of life and you don't want to have any nonsense, you got to buy in one of those 3 states. That's my opinion.
Well, Tennessee as well.
I left out Tennessee. I'm sorry, but Tennessee. This Nashville could be the hottest city in the country right now.
Yeah, we own a building there.
This is what I'm hearing from my people that are very smart. very
Yeah,
trendy, very ahead of the curve.
yeah.
Nashville, that's my next vacation, just so you know.
Like, if you look at when the real estate bubble popped in 06, 07, it was all about speculation. It was all speculation in the market.
Correct.
You've got to watch migration patterns. Watch where people are leaving and watch where people are moving. If you have a positive migration pattern, which Nevada has a massive positive migration pattern, people need a place to live. They got to have somewhere to put a roof over their head.
Watch what happens to New York when Donnie wins.
Oof.
It's crazy.
Zero new development. Buildings are going to start to crumble. It's going to be a disaster. I did a piece for them a couple weeks ago, and it was for a news organization in New York, and it was just, I'm like, man, how does nobody see this? Look, I get it, right? They say the average New Yorker, I think, is paying $1,000 more than they can actually afford for a place to live. I understand that. It's terrible, but you can't hamper the free market. You just can't.
Well, they did already, and government involvement caused these problems. And government cannot solve these problems. You need smart guys with clever ideas to take care of that. And
capital moves.
Right,
capital's going to move out of there.
That's what we have right now, though. We have smart guys now in Washington, finally, that are really working to try and make this country a better place. It's going to be very interesting to see when this guy does win. John, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say something unpopular, which is this, right? Look at the theme of the book. If you're paying $1,000 more for where you live right now, and you live in New York, is that the landlord's fault or is that your fault?
Exactly. But you got to live somewhere, like you said a minute ago.
Yeah, but why do
you're living in the wrong place, right? You have no plan.
My question is, why do you have to live there?
It's a bad plan. I get it. It's such a bad plan.
I don't understand that.
I agree with you. And you're a really smart guy. You're really successful. I mean, you're a multimillionaire. You have businesses, but you have a great real estate company that I admire and I've been to. And is there anything else you want to say to the audience? Anything we didn't cover? Where's John Gafford in 5 years? Have you thought about that at all?
Well, again, my idea of success is doing exactly only what I want to do and not having anything I have to do.
I love it.
And my goal is to have lots of things that I want to do.
You'd be going to your son's graduation.
Yeah. Yeah.
In 5 years. You'll be a little bit older, a little bit shorter.
No, I think I'm done shrinking.
A little bit grayer.
I'm done with the shrink.
Great,
yes.
Something happens in your 60s. I'm telling you, as a guy that's a little bit ahead of the curve. When I was your age, I was a stud. And then right at 55 or something, double nickels. I took a big steep decline, but I had an unusual amount of stress occur at that time.
Yeah,
you're a beast. I'm so grateful to have you here, John. Escaping the drift, how to make the world happen for you, not to you. They said when I went to prison, my first day, my cellie said to me, "You got to do this time, Ross, or this time is going to do you."
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a euphemism for everything you're talking about and that you're writing about. November the 11th, every bookstore, look for it on the New York Times bestseller list. I guarantee you it's going to be a top 10 nonfiction. Be a nonfiction, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're writing this because you want to serve people, you want to share or give back a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the knowledge and experience that you've managed to garner over the course of your life. And I just want to say it's been a real privilege, John, to see you here.
Thank you, Ross. I appreciate it, buddy.
I appreciate you. I can't wait to come see you. I'll be coming out to Vegas in the fall.
Cool. Give me a call. We'll be here.
100%. Thank you all so much today.